Hello and welcome to the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector,
I'm Jason Otero.
I'm Gary Lemaster.
Season 5, episode 33. It is fall, however,
Total drought.
we've got a little bit of like a post-apocalyptic season happening in the Midwest.
I called you yesterday, and you were like, I'm in the middle of mowing the grass. And I felt like you were very thankful to have a break in the middle of mowing the grass because you were like, I'm mowing dust out here.
Oh, I would mow and I would just hear the Book of Eli song in the background. Doo, 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 doo. I mean, crunch under every step. I'm like, what am I even mowing here? I'm mowing a hayride.
My lawn looks a little shaggy, but it's not long. And I'm kind of in the same boat that you were. Until a neighbor does theirs,
Yeah. Oh, that's the key.
Just probably chilling.
On the cul-de-sac, the rules are once one person mows, it is generally expected that within a few days it's your turn.
And does everybody get mad at the person who does it initially?
Well, you think it, you feel it, you know.
You don't light a bag of dog crap and sit on their porch?
No.
Okay.
If somebody's retired and that's like their thing is their lawn, I'm fine with that.
Right.
But the other working class people like us, no, I'm not letting that slide. Anyway, if you're not from the Midwest, you don't understand. We have to talk about the weather, whether it's interesting or not, and complain about it. So that's where we are with that. Also, we got to say it now because if something really cool happens, I just want us to like plant the flag. Cincinnati Reds made the wild card in spectacularly unimpressive fashion.
Yeah, well, they win the first two games in Milwaukee. They control their own destiny, and they needed a pretty bad showing from the Mets in the last game of the afternoon to get in. So a little Francisco Lindor ground into a double play, and here we are. And the Reds celebrated like they had the best record in baseball.
The best part of this story is in the last 80 games, they were 40-40.
Yeah, it was, and in the last
spectacular.
last 80 games, Ellie looked as lost as he did the first half of last year.
Oh, he had a good game last week against the Pirates.
Well, he did hit for the cycle a few weeks ago, and then he had a good game last week. Maybe he turns it on. Here's the thing with the Reds. Nobody wants to deal with them in a short series like we have against the Dodgers. Now, we got to score some runs, but if you're the Dodgers, do you want to face Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, and Nick Lodolo?
Right.
Like, that's one of the best front three in baseball.
Yeah. They would just say, you can't kill us. That's kind of the motto.
We're cockroaches.
Like when you acknowledge it, then you're dangerous. Because you're not coming in cocky. You're just be like, yeah, we're here.
Here we go. I just loved all the, like, graphics with clinched, like they did something.
Well, in the locker room, I'm all ticked off because I was watching that Brewers game.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to watch this. It's getting killed again. And then the next thing I know, it's champagne.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Francona was having
We're
a blast.
in.
I like how he said this. This is how you know he's a good coach. He was like, we're going to party, baby, for the next hour. Like he's getting to work already. I think he went a little more now. Anyway, some hobby news, a lot of things popping off in the last week we want to jump into right away. This was a headline I found a little bit interesting. Interesting on both parties in this case.
Yeah.
Jake Paul is suing Heritage Auctions over a signed Jordan piece of the Bulls court. Now, it's not just signed. It's signed, and it has, like, every inscription you could possibly dream of Jordan putting on there, which, for Jordan, that's a big deal.
Yes.
That's a really big deal. But help me, you read through that as well. Help me understand, what was it that Jake Paul was actually mad about? What was the reason for this lawsuit? And is this something that sets a precedent maybe with some of the larger buyers in this space?
Well, I'm going to give you the breakdown of what it was, and then I'm going to give you my take on it, and then you can feel free to laugh at my take or give your or however that looks like.
I feel so free.
So here's what the item was. The signatures and the inscriptions are not in debate. Right. Nobody is debating validity. They are triple certified. They're certified by Upper Deck, who Jordan has been exclusive with for 30 years. They are authenticated by PSA DNA and have been authenticated by Beckett. So there's no question
real.
Yeah, no question about the signatures whatsoever. What is in question is Heritage listed the item as being a piece of the Bulls floor from 1992 to 1996.
Peak Bulls dynasty.
Yep. What is in question is whether that floor is actually from more like 2000,
Jordan's Wizard
to
era.
2005. Now, what Jake Paul is alleging in his lawsuit is that Heritage did not give him the proper amount of time needed to verify their claims that the floor was from that earlier era. And what is the dispute is Heritage is saying, well, it's the same floor, but it was resurfaced and repainted at some point. We don't know when that happened. My take on this is that Jake Paul, after buyer's fees, spent over $600,000 and then decided, not really sure I want to pay $600,000. How can we get out of this without me burning every bridge I have and ability to buy this type of stuff in the future if I want it? That's my take on it. Both sides, Heritage probably was a little shady in the way they listed that. But here's what's important to note. Even the documentation that they provided with the item, one of the pieces of documentation, I believe the piece from PSA, indicates that they believe that the floor was from a later date. So that was disclosed, that one of the three things says that it was from a later date, which is why I think it's more Jake Paul going, do I really want to drop $620 on this?
I think you and I underestimate what wealth in 2025 looks like.
Maybe.
Because in our minds, you could say, if I had $5 million, I don't need to think about much ever again. And that could be true. But when you talk about the type of money people like Jake Paul are generating, the revenue, I don't think it matters to him if it was 400 or 600 grand. Now, I'm not saying that all people with money don't even have to think about expenses. A lot of times, the rich people are cheap people.
Right.
Unless you were in a windfall of cash from being a goofy kid on YouTube and turn it into like $100 million prize fights. Okay? So
sure.
I think what happened was, this is a flex. He would have paid $700. He may have paid $800 at the auction for it. But he wanted it to be as cool as he said it was. And when Heritage communicated that this is from this era, that's the only error in this whole transaction.
Correct.
Then he probably sees the PSA, everything gets in, and he's saying, wait, hold on a minute. Why is there a discrepancy between the two of these? Now, the interesting thing in this story to me was, it looks like that the Paul representation already secured a protective order against Heritage.
Yeah, because what Heritage was saying was, if you don't pay by this date, you don't get the item, and it will go back up for auction. And that's what they filed an injunction to start with, so that couldn't happen. Then they could proceed with the legal case.
So it could be that he just has enough money to not only buy that at that price,
but
then
you.
Hire an attorney to make sure that it's legit. And if it is, he's probably happy with it. We'll see what happens. I don't see this as being expensive enough for him to like freak out about.
I guess not freak out, but
I don't think it's a cost issue.
He's also bought multiple things and gotten multiple headlines in this hobby for getting duped and buying fake stuff. Probably
the reason, though, that he would be like, Heritage too? Like, now, I'll say this. I was surprised to see that name involved, and it is more believable that they were not trying to pull one over. No. But the last thing you need in the memorabilia space right now
is
another jersey that's not a jersey, another court piece that's not the right court piece. And I'll be honest, if I'm buying that kind of Jordan stuff and I find out it's as he was not on the team, well, that would suck.
Again, I think the issue is not that the floor itself wasn't stood on by Michael Jordan. It's that the paint that was on top of the floor might not have been stood on by Michael Jordan. The court, what Heritage is saying is the court was the same court for 30 years. It was just resurfaced, and you're mad that the paint wasn't stood on by Michael Jordan.
I mean, at $600,000, I would have some questions.
Maybe.
Interesting to see how that one plays out. Up next, Topps update. When does that drop? Right around the corner, isn't it? Very soon.
Yeah.
Very soon. Topps update baseball announced that the Golden Mirror super short prints will be autographed with gold ink in this release. I
All
think
of
that
them?
is.
Or is it a variation, some of them?
I don't know yet.
Interesting.
Based off of what I was reading. I think it would make, if they decided to make all of them autos, that would be a good way to juice update.
Sure, and I mean the question is how many cases are they making, because they're technically case hits. There's one to a case, so
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. It is a cool idea. It also, one of the complaints that people have about the gold mirrors is unless you look at the back of the card, you don't know that it's a gold mirror, and a lot of them, the images are unique enough that you kind of do a double take. However, Topps has also included a lot more like unique Gatorade bath type images on regular cards. Yeah. So I imagine a lot of these gold mirrors have been tossed out or stuck in commons boxes.
Well, that's the only thing I'm sad about. Not being able to snipe them as easily in the future. Right. I think putting quality hits, if the prices are going up with wax, then the more attainable products need to have chases in them that are a big hit. I think it is good for the narrative of what's being released now for people to buy a box for $100, $150, maybe $200, and then hit something cool out of it.
Sure.
Or pull them out of a blaster. I think that still matters. And there has to be a level of attainability in the hobby, especially in a year where you see some softening in the ultra modern market, especially with football right now and basketball. And then you see in the greats and goats picking up.
Well, and Fanatics also just, Topps Chrome this year was brutal because they so drastically expanded the rookie checklist. And then you're getting your guaranteed auto is a guy who had 3 major league at-bats and will probably never have another one. And the box costs $300, $275.
Now, I haven't seen it yet, but have you seen a release checklist for Bowman U football?
Not a checklist, but the design is awesome.
The design's awesome, but my concern is it would be very easy for them to do the exact same thing with the product this year.
They've been doing that.
If it is worse, it's really going to matter whose autos are in there.
Well, they'll have the good autos, but they're going to have a ton of crap.
I had somebody call me yesterday, buddy, that has done some purchasing of like wax, of like maybe a quick flip, the right stuff, and they had a buddy reach out to them about you got to get this Topps Chrome cases, and this was the wrong year to do that.
Yeah,
right? Like a lot of LCSs were stuck with them; they couldn't move enough of it.
Oh yeah. Talking to an LCS owner yesterday, talking about how he's just stuck. With Topps Chrome and trying to decide when to take the loss.
You like how we just took a really positive thing from Fanatics and Topps and turned it into what we do? Oh, we are grumpy old negative men, by the way.
Oh, yeah. That's what our comments tell us.
Yeah. So, well, I'm not going to stop now. I've got more good news. If you, well, it's not good news. All right. There was a Topps update, Shohei Ohtani rookie, that had a big story a couple years ago. We talked about it in the pod audio version, probably season 2 or 3. It was a 2018 Topps update, Independence Day. Shohei Ohtani numbered to 76. It is number 64 of 76.
Specific.
So this card was sold by someone who had very clear images of the card. And then the next thing we know, the card looks way more centered.
Yeah, it's in a slab.
In a slab, and it's a PSA 9.
Yeah, and it was way more centered, and the bit of whiting that was in that top right corner wasn't there anymore.
So many collectors believed and posted and reached out to anybody at PSA that would listen and say, hey, this is a trimmed card, and this is too big and too iconic of a card for you to know that this is a trimmed card and still be okay sorting this.
Yes.
Well, luckily, since that moment, PSA has been, just walking out their integrity in front of all of us and has not stooped to this level. By the way, price hike and a longer turnaround time right now. That's coming in just a moment. Since then, we have had another submission of this card that has clearly been spoken about.
Same card.
The people that have a voice in the hobby have tagged people in PSA. They have heard about it, and yet still this card was graded. And the funny thing to me is that it was resubbed, and now it's an 8.
It went down.
Nobody seems to care that something else clearly has happened with the card.
Yeah, very much a trimmed card. And
you remember how harsh they were when it was if any card has been altered.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it's a really expensive one.
Yeah, it's just them rattling sabers. We have this happen this week, and then another card was recently graded that was a joke, and it's one of the most expensive cards to attain in the entire hobby.
The card's not a joke.
No, the card's not a joke, but the grade is a joke. So this is and I will put a picture of the card on the screen so that you can see what we are talking about.
Do that on our socials too.
Okay.
I keep forgetting to bug you about that.
Perfect. I will put that on the screen. Here's the issue. It's a 1952 Mickey Mantle one of, if not the most iconic baseball cards of all time. One of the most valuable cards of all time. The card is severe. It's a PSA 8. Okay? Go read what that means and then understand that PSA grades vintage way harder than they do ultra modern. Yeah. And this card got an 8. This card is severely diamond cut. I would say it's diamond cut at a minimum of 10.
Explain that to people that don't know what that means.
So diamond cut means that it is shaped properly. However, the sheet was angled slightly. So the border at the top is wider than the border at the bottom. This was a very notorious thing that happened with 1986 Topps football.
Yep.
That set is notorious for diamond cutting. This card is diamond cut at a minimum of 10 to 12 degrees. It might be close to 15 degrees. Additionally, along the bottom right, the card, you'll see on the screen, you see the black border that's there. On the bottom right, if you zoom in on the image of this card, there is severe print bleed on that border. It bleeds from black to yellow hard. This card is a 5, maybe a 6. Yeah. The difference in value between a 5 and an 8 is damn near 7 figures.
Wow.
Either PSA just let one fall through the cracks, which I can't imagine on this type of a card. I imagine when this card gets submitted ever, that it goes to their most senior graders.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or Nat Turner owed somebody a favor. One of the two things.
Yeah, that's a tough one because of how much of a difference in value you're talking on that
massive
card.
If somebody buys that card based on the flip, they are throwing money
You know
away.
who would buy that card?
Jake Paul?
Wondershine.
Oh, yeah, Wondershine
Mr.
would buy
Wonderful
that card.
I mean, because it's still – so this brings up a good question because this is changing significantly. And this is one of the biggest differences I've noticed between vintage collectors and modern, ultra-modern. Vintage collectors really do care about presentation.
Yes.
Experienced vintage people would look at that and be like, that's such a cool card. How did that get an 8?
Yes.
Not knocking the card, blah, blah, blah. But they, with their own eyes, will say, 8? Question mark? So a vintage collector will have to decide that buys big cards like this, or maybe they invest. This is the type of card you invest.
Yes.
That's a long hold, right? It's an 8. Is it the grade that you're buying, or is it the card? And this is going to be interesting to see that, I'm sure this card will move and somebody will post something about it, but when it does, what profile spent the money on the card?
Yeah, I already know what the asking price on the card is.
It's over $1 million.
1.4 almost.
Yeah. So, way to go, PSA. Along those lines, they're raising their prices and turnaround times. If you're just now hearing this the first time, you just haven't been listening. This was announced like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, and I've gotten chuckles out of all the folks who weren't here the last time this happened, just pulling their hair out. Why would PSA do this? What are they thinking? I'll tell you exactly what they're thinking. They're getting too damn many cards, and they want it to slow down.
Right.
That's all this is. Stop sending us stuff. Oh, you won't listen? Now it's going to cost you more and take longer. Please stop sending us stuff.
Yeah. What do you think's being sent off now? I mean, when we had this wave in COVID, it was all the base rookie stuff.
It's happening again.
Yep.
That's exactly what's happening. And we're seeing it because people are trying to sell it to us, and they're trying to sell us their PSA 8 paper Jaden Daniels.
I'll tell you. Sunday show. The stuff walking up, there was so much more ultra-modern football walking up where there was a look of desperation in their eyes. And you could tell, especially like, I don't want to say it, like if I was a teenage kid and I had the money as a teenager to be in the hobby actively and go to shows, like I'd be doing the same thing. But you could tell that you were the 15th table they've been to. You showed them what's been happening with the market of that player. They're convinced a month ago when they opened the pack that they had a $70 card, and it's $25 right now.
Yep.
And you have to offer them below that, which we'll talk about how margins work here in a minute too. But yeah, you're definitely seeing that happen.
So yeah, some interesting things happening in the PSA world now. But if you're wondering why that price increase and delay in turn times is happening, that's why. There is literally no other reason. They want you to stop sending them stuff right now so they can get caught up.
Is that going to – but here's what I like about that. Whenever these things happen, it has to – I think it's more of a trickle than an obvious redirection, but there have to be an uptick at some point with SGC a little bit, even though they're trying to throttle that too. Beckett still has an opportunity. Please please put the right person in there.
charge.
And cast the vision for that, unless they're just content. Like, I don't think people realize just how big their authentication market is on the member. They're still
Well, and they're
far
also
and away.
huge in the TCG world.
Yes,
like a Beckett, a Black Label 10 in the TCG world is massive.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay, I'm excited to do this. Our first update calculation, Football Flip 2025. If you don't know, there's an episode a few weeks back titled Football Flip 2025. Gary and I, for years, have been doing something similar to this where we will build out a team based off of a fictitious budget. We'll select our players' rookie cards and PSA 10s. We'll track the growth or fall of their market throughout the season. And then at the end of the year, we crown a winner. The loser has to buy the card that has taken the highest gain for the winner at current market value.
Yes.
This could be, I don't think anything crazy, but I would say, like, on the upside, it could be a $500, $600, or $700 card.
Yeah.
So it's enough to make me nervous here. I'm going to be trying to buy with margin,
right?
Which we'll talk about again later. Let's give people an update. Football Flip 2025. Gary is up. I am down.
Yep. Although I do have to use an IR spot.
Yep.
So here we go. I'm up 11%. I'll give you my players in case you didn't hear this 7 weeks ago when we started this. My quarterback was Justin Fields, and the card that I picked was his National Treasures booklet RPA out of 99. When I started this, that card was $184. It is now a $170 card. So that one I'm down a little bit on. Next card was Jahmyr Gibbs, his select club level zebra in a PSA 10. That one is up. It was $408 prior. Now it is at $450. Dalton Kincaid was my tight end. I had his Prism Blue Ice rookie of 99 in a PSA 10. It is up $1 from $125
$1
to $126. My wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb 2020 Prism Silver, just the true silver PSA 10. It is up from 209 to 240. Next receiver will be who I'm using an IR spot on because he got his knee blown out this week, and that was Malik Neighbors, his true Prism. Still up, though, 190 to 210. And last but not least, Justin Jefferson's Blue Wave Prism rookie out of 199 in a PSA 10, 330. When we started this, it's now up to 408. So
that's the biggest winner, right? 25%?
Yes, that is the biggest winner. And then my total starting out of a $1,500 budget was $1,446. I'm now sitting at $1,604. However, Malik Neighbors will now be coming off of my roster. Rule update, just so you guys remember, we have to use the same budget as we had preseason for that player. It can't be
over
anything over that. So I went with Puka Nacua, his true Blue Wave Prism rookie PSA 10. It's a $150 average on the last three. Puka's a freaking dog.
Yeah.
Did you realize he has twice the number of receptions of the next guy in the league in receiving? He's at 40-some catches already.
He's a workhorse.
Yeah.
All right, I am down, but I'll just go ahead and cut to the chase. I'm down 1.5%.
So
So
you're
it's
close.
not, I'm holding, right? A couple of these names I'm nervous about, and two of these don't have a recent sale, or they just have one at the same price right around the beginning of the season. CJ Stroud was my big pick. I still think there's hope. He looked a little bit better this week. If they could string together a few weeks of him bombing those, getting those 300-yard games, I won't be surprised. But if that bounces back up. I did the Prism Silver rookie in a PSA 10. It averaged about 400. I look back, I was a little aggressive. If I'd have taken in more data, maybe a little lighter, but still close to 400. It's about a $300 card right now. There's a spread. Whenever somebody moves down, there's a spread. There's going to be one that goes low, and then there's usually like, oh, that's the outlier, and then the boom.
Try to look at the average of the last 4 or 5.
That's what I'm trying to do. So that's down 25%. That really hurt me. Running back Bijan Robinson, select XRC PSA 10. Now, I think this is one of the smarter picks for cards to invest in. That's up significantly. I went from 133 average to a 185 average.
30% bump.
That's a solid bump there. Almost makes up for the CJ loss. Jamar Chase, somehow the value's gone up $10 on that PSA 10 silver rookie, 195 to floating around 205. I think there was a 210 comp, but there was one like 180, so I'm calling it 205 is where we're at there. Roma Dunze, silver autograph PSA 10. Not many of these have sold, but it has gone up from about $210 to $230.
I think that one has a chance to really do well for you.
I mean, Bijan, Rome, and then if CJ can I think CJ's because that CJ's silver 10 was an $800 card when he was slinging
CJ
it.
had just held steady, you'd be killing me.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. I think his card could be if it's at 300 now, it could see 500 by the end of the year. I don't think it's going to get to $800 again unless. Well, they just traded a tackle away too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. DK Metcalf, Contenders Optic Rookie Ticket Autograph Teal to 149. That long title is all you need to know. I'm a little nervous that I won't see any gains, but I may not see losses.
Because it won't sell.
Because it hasn't sold. He is so collected, though, that I'll be shocked if there's not something
that moves.
Or somebody unloading him. I mean, that could come back to bite me, too. And then finally, Sam Laporta. Looks like it had one sale since the season started. The Prism Blue Ice Rookie to 99 and a PSA 10 was $275, and it has a recent sale at $270. So it fell off $5.
Yep.
Laporta, he's down. He's down, and I think he's more down than those numbers
And what
reflect.
that indicates, yeah.
But the Lions have a way of figuring things out, and they've got the right coaching for that. So
3-1 now.
I have turned 1453 into 1431.
So it could have been way worse. You had two really nice gainers there that made up for your CJ pick, and your CJ pick could turn around. So we will update this every quarter of the football season. So you're going to get this about every 4.5 to 5 weeks during the season to see where we're at. Losing Malik really hurt because, again, he was getting all the targets in New York.
Yeah.
But here we are. Let's roll into picks.
But I got to tell you guys, the thing about a heater is that they can't stay hot forever.
Yeah.
But it was a fun ride. This week I was annihilated. Gary went 4-1. I went 1-4.
Yep.
And we had 3 of the same picks.
Yeah. It was
How is that possible?
because the one that we shared.
Oh, you had 2 differences?
Yeah.
Does that
I
matter?
had 2 different ones. Yes.
Okay.
We had it was real interesting. The 2 that we differed on, Falcons. I picked the Falcons, and Jason couldn't bring himself to do that.
Just after that loss, I
And
wasn't ready.
I picked the Chiefs, who as soon as they had a receiver who could take the top off of defense, all of a sudden looked like the Chiefs again.
Also, I hate doing this because nobody ever believes you when you say this because they're like the most offended crowd when you say it. But the Ravens are the team that everybody expect. Like every time they're getting ready to play, everybody's like, "Oh, they're about to put it on them," and it just doesn't happen as often. Like it so infrequently happens that how long are we going to keep them in that conversation? You know what I'm saying?
Here's an interesting
Do you
take.
see what I'm saying?
I do,
Yeah.
but this is something that I think we have to address. Both of these things can't be true at the same time. Lamar Jackson has a hamstring injury. He sure didn't look hurt on the sideline. He sure looked like he was pouting on the sideline.
Oh, that's even worse.
He didn't look frustrated. He looked like he was pouting.
I think my hamstring hurts today.
Yeah. Is it time for us to start having the conversation that Lamar Jackson might be the James Harden of the NFL?
Ooh.
Like really good when it doesn't matter all that much?
Well, we took some heat when we talked about
because we can't say the Chiefs are back,
right.
and also say that the Ravens just got you know what I mean? Like they didn't look good.
Yeah. When we give takes on football stuff here too, this is driving me nuts. I gotta.
Yeah, you're good. And while you're giving this take, I'm going to pick the games we're going to pick this week because we never did that.
When you look at the comment we made about Baker last week, where we said, I don't know if there's another quarterback I'd rather have right now in this moment.
In that situation.
And then the people that wanted to argue with us just listed guys that throw a bunch of touchdowns.
Yeah.
And we're saying right now in this moment. And I think that's the key because somebody went back and gave a stat about, over the last 15, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about right now. And what we can see, like the Bills conversation, I love Josh Allen. He's probably my favorite quarterback to watch in the league right now. But time and time again in that last minute drive, the Bills fans have said it. Everyone watching has said it. Not the most clutch. Does he have the talent and capacity and intelligence and team and program? Yes. But when it doesn't happen, that's a counter argument to our point.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, Goff. I'm just trying to think of all the other names that were presented to us. But like at some point with the Lamar thing, you got to look at the ones that we lost. What games were they? What games did the Ravens lose? How the ones where they were down, they didn't make the comeback. So I think it's a little interesting what's happening over in Baltimore for sure. But it is definitely a team that always appears to be dangerous and is dangerous. But,
yes.
Man, I don't know if it's the schedule. I don't know what's going on, but it seemed off. And Mahomes never gets worse as the season goes on. I've never seen.
He starts to figure out what his team is doing.
What do I have to work with?
Yes, and how do I need to? He's very, very adaptable to what the situation is, which is a trait of Andy Reid too. It's not surprising that has passed into Mahomes.
Before we get into the picks here,
I've
got to say, watched the Dolphins last night. They looked a little more like a functional team, and then Tyreek, who's been pouting all season, gets fired up, and you could tell that he figured out, I love this game, and he's hyping the whole team up. And then he decided to add one of the worst knee injuries I've seen.
It was awful.
From what we know, it's dislocated, tendons are torn, it's all blown. I mean, that's the type of injury they got to check that artery in the knee to make sure
his
it wasn't
leg
damaged.
was pointing in the wrong direction from the knee down.
But the way that he had to be in tons of pain.
Oh yeah.
2, the way he was waving everybody off the field. There's a part of me where it's like, was he just drinking up that last moment? And there's a possibility of that.
At his age, and when his entire game is based on speed, that might be it.
But probably a stubborn enough person where until he recovers, he's not going to know.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But
it was sad to see. Like, I was watching the other game because as a Bengals fan, I enjoy self-flagellation. So you texted me and said, man, Tyreek's knee. And I went and saw the footage of it, and it was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad.
It was bad. Little update on the total scores for the season. Now, Gary closed the gap a lot this week with that. I'm still 27-15. Gary's 23-19. Do those numbers check out?
They do.
Okay.
So now we've got 5 games this week to pick. Jason has no idea what they are. He had no
I might
ability
need more
to
of a
prepare
second
for them. Neither did I, because as we were prepping this
Other
episode,
than selecting them.
we were going to select these, and then I realized we never did. So let's start with one that I think is a very interesting one. Raiders at Colts. Colts as well. The Colts should have beat the Rams.
They outplayed the team, and then they just
Adonai Mitchell, literally dropped the ball. Had one of the best plays you'll see a receiver make this year, and then got excited and tried to celebrate going into the end zone and fumbled it out the back.
Still one of the most infuriating things to watch.
And then late in the game, Jonathan Taylor has an electric 46-yard touchdown run called back by a hold from Adonai Mitchell that had no impact on the play whatsoever.
Those are the ones you're in the trenches. You don't see everything going on around you, but those mistakes really can.
Yeah,
hurt
14 points off the board.
Colts, I would agree.
Giants at Saints, the Jackson Dart-led Giants. What do we think there? They got their first win in Jackson Dart's first start.
I'm going to go with the Giants on this one.
I'm going to go with the Saints.
Good.
Spencer Rattler's showing me a little bit.
Really?
I don't necessarily
that.
like it, but he's showing me a little bit like he's competitive. He's not making mistakes, and it's in the Superdome.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Saints there. Well, let's go your team versus the Jekyll and Hyde team of the NFL so far this year. Miami at Carolina. No Tyreek.
I think the Dolphins. Hey, listen, I don't care what anyone says to me. Darren Waller was an immediate impact on that offense.
Well, and whenever Darren Waller's been healthy, he's been very good.
Did he catch 2 touchdowns? Yes. People don't realize the type of specimen he is.
Oh yeah.
If he can shed a block, there's not like on size in a red zone. There's not too many people that are going to be able to lock that down. If it's placed well.
Not playing man-to-man, they can't.
But Tua had some creative throws that I haven't seen all season, like threading the needle a little bit. I think there was just a different level of energy, and I think Carolina, as bad as the Dolphins are, Carolina is bad but without the talent. Miami is bad with more talent.
So I assume you're taking your team here.
For the first time all season, only because I saw some glimmers of hope with the Monday night win. It's a short week. I got to go the Fins on this one.
I will be going with the Panthers on this one. So we've got 2
disbelief in Miami, or that they did what they did a couple weeks ago and it was impressive.
I think the loss of Tua, the loss of Tyreek, is going to have catastrophic effects on that offense. I think that loss is not overcomable in any real way.
The way that you made that such a confident take.
Yeah.
And if I don't care if it's the Dolphins, that's the one I hope you lose. All right, last one.
We'll get 2 to go. What are you talking about? Commanders at Chargers. Both
Why
teams
do you keep doing
lost.
Commanders every week?
Well, because it's an interesting game. That's why Jaden Daniels should be back this week. Chargers lost a game that was baffling that they lost.
Any injuries with the Chargers I'm unaware of?
No, other than Najee being out for the year, that torn Achilles, but he wasn't a main call anyway. Hampton had his first really good game as a pro. But the Commanders get Jaden Daniels back. So which is the real Commanders? It's in LA.
Boy, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
Is this the hardest one matchup? Probably.
Yeah, the next one is you
go first. I've been going first every time.
That's fine. I'm going to take the Chargers.
That's what I was going to say as well.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers in this one. I think it's
a
long
close.
trip. I think it's close, but I think it's a long trip across the pond there.
Yep.
Last one is the second most interesting.
Zero
one.
ponds being crossed, by the way.
0 ponds being crossed.
Well, I mean, many ponds being crossed,
but not the big one.
not the pond.
Texans at Ravens, a battle of 2 1-3 teams that nobody thought would be 1-3. If Lamar comes back and plays in this game, I think it will mar his image with his own team. So I don't think he plays this week. He took himself out of a game that they were getting smoked in. The trainers didn't take him out.
Has he done this before?
No.
That's what makes it a little bit less believable.
Well, yes and no. Like a couple years ago, remember, they were in a tight playoff race, and he was like, he wanted a contract, so he was like, I'm not risking it.
Yeah.
And the team doctors were like, you can probably play. And he's like, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. But the Texans are bad.
Yeah, but are the Baltimore Ravens also
Where's
bad?
this one? Who's
It's
home?
in Baltimore.
I'm going with the Texans upset.
Me too.
Really?
That was what my pick was too.
Wow.
Yeah. If Lamar doesn't play, Cooper Rush ain't getting
So
it
we've
done.
only got 2 different ones here.
Yep. Same as last week.
Saints. No, I like the way this is working because it's going to keep things tight.
A little
that way.
tighter, yes.
All right. Those are our picks for the week. Now, those of you that have been going off of what I've said because you've been making so much money. Last week was a rough one for me. Don't know if we get off the schneid here. We'll see what happens. Okay, instead of a value box, Gary and I are just going to rant for a few minutes. This is going to feel a little more like
angsty,
the old school podcast for these next few minutes because we love doing the value box, but sometimes it's just a little more fun to have an organic conversation without talking each other up a whole lot about it and letting each other rip.
Well, and we love doing the value box because one of the things that we enjoy the most is giving you guys stuff that is actionable. And believe it or not, we put a lot of thought and effort into those segments. And our hope is that it helps you in your either collecting journey or your journey as a dealer so that you can increase your profits and get more out of this hobby. So when we're going old school, right?
You can do it. I just don't want to. And some of you guys are going to be like, I need to go listen to some of these old episodes. Yes, but we're on video here.
And
we're being published to like 8 platforms.
When we have to see and hear idiots say things with their full chest that they obviously have no clue about, it's infuriating. And I don't mind people disagreeing with us. You can disagree with us on things that are matters of opinion.
And you could be a jerk disagreeing with us.
Yes.
That's fine.
But when we are talking about things that are factual in basis, and you just come and you say something with your full chest as if you have any semblance of a clue what you're talking about, you can expect us to fire back. And boy, this week we fired back a little bit.
I think I get annoyed with it, but when I get to the point where like we're going to talk about it and I don't care, it's when I notice that it's a narrative that's like starting to gain some traction that's like not correct. And you guys will notice this every single time we rip on somebody, without exception, it is someone that's using a platform or somebody that's giving information that only harms people in the space and people collecting in the space and people selling in the space.
Yes.
It's bad for the hobby in our opinion. That's when we say something. It's not because somebody commented and got under our ruffles, which that happens. Gary left scorched earth on TikTok. Some dude must do this so much that he set up as a profile where you can't do replies videos. So he's a coward
So
one.
So Gary
But-
copied and pasted the
Yeah,
screenshot.
so he just made his own video, which is like the most,
Yeah.
Gen X thing ever. But but here we are. So here's the bigger conversation. The number one thing, without question, I would say grading is probably number 2 that we had talked about. But the number one thing people ask us questions, want us to talk about is buying. Buying right, buying with percentage. How do you buy if you're a dealer? How do you buy for your PC? How do you buy for flipping, eBay, whatnot? And we spend so much time talking about that. But one thing
3 full weeks.
seems really clear to me. You know what that is?
What's that?
People can't do math. Also, I think we have people in this hobby that have never purchased anything besides a card in their entire life. They're just out in the ether, living amongst the trees without having ever owned a single item ever. They've never collected anything, bought anything, sold anything. They parachuted into TikTok. They parachuted into YouTube and said, you know what? Everyone should be able to sell their cards at 100% or damn near close to it.
And if you don't,
you
are what's wrong with the hobby.
You are taking the hobby down.
You are a comp killer.
It's a race to the bottom. These greedy sons of guns that just set up and rake in money all day long.
It is mind-blowing.
So, in a general sense, the quick Cliff Notes version. A lot of people in this hobby believe that when they have cards in their possession and they go to somebody that has a business buying and selling cards, whether they set up at shows, have an LCS, whatever, maybe it's a repacker that they reach out to and hit up their Discord, whatever it is, that the only reasonable solution when you're selling cards is to get full value on that transaction, because if not, it will hurt the hobby. And here's what we would like to explain to you. We want to explain to you words like wholesale. We want to talk about words like margin. We want to talk about things like addition and subtraction. We want to talk about bills. We'd like to talk about things like expenses. Now, if you're lost already, then this is really going to blow your mind. Might need to pull out a phone, take an audio note of this, and then try to spell it later. Volatility. It's a big word. You might want to look into it. We're going to talk about seasons and how markets soften and how they pick up. And then we're going to talk about a word that you're very unfamiliar with if all you're doing is walking up to a table and expecting 100%. That word is spelled out W-O-R-K. Some people refer to it as work. It's labor. It's a time commitment. It is an expense of resource that you feel you shouldn't have to make, but everyone else should, so that you can get 100%. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you really drilled in there.
So
I
we
like
won't have to do this as sarcastically through this whole bit, but there is a little bit of annoyance that you're going to catch throughout the whole thing. The first thing that I want to answer is, what is wholesale? What does that mean when somebody says wholesale? And what does wholesale mean in an LCS? What does it mean in a card show? And what does it mean for repackers? Just 3 examples we can quickly...
Let's start with an LCS, because
in a basic sense, though, because I think some people don't even understand what
Yes.
the word wholesale means.
Yes. So
Maybe they think it meant the whole sale is 100%. And so maybe it's just a simple mistake. But
Jason, we won't be as sarcastic. Also, Jason, pure sarcasm. At an LCS, let's use that, because I think that's probably outside of
but you're already too far, and I'm not being sarcastic. What does the word wholesale mean for people?
Wholesale means a vendor buys something at a reduced cost and then sells it at retail, which is the marked up cost.
Since we're the only ones doing this, I just want to be sure, like, when you take a car in, they give you what's called a trade-in value.
Right.
But if they give me 100% of trade-in value, did they still wholesale the car?
Yes.
Why is that, Gary?
Because there's a difference between wholesale and retail value.
So when they took that car in on trade, they wanted to make money off of my...
Shocking, I know. And the difference in wholesale and retail value assumes a few things. It assumes that the retailer who is selling a car to an end user has expenses. It assumes that retailer also has target profit margins so that they can maintain a business where you have some place to go and sell your car to.
Wait, they're trying to make money off of my car?
Absolutely.
And it's going in their pocket?
Yeah.
And it's paying their bills?
Yeah.
We got to do something about this.
Well, you can.
Okay.
You can sell it yourself.
Well,
you can spend money to advertise it.
Well, I don't know how to do all that.
You can clean it and make sure that it's mechanically up to snuff and put
well,
money
that's going
into
to take
it
a
if
lot
it
of
needs
time.
it.
I'm not a mechanic.
You can change the threaded bare tires and put fresh tires on it for $1,000.
I've changed one flat in my life.
So you mean there's things you don't know how to do in order to retail the car?
Yeah, but I brought you a car. You need cars. It's a car lot.
You see what we're driving at here? We want to make sure that you guys understand that we're just not a couple of schlubs who are just raking money in hand over fist, and neither is any other dealer that's out here grinding things out. Even the guys that are selling cards for $500,000 to the owners of the Commanders, their margin percentages look very similar to ours. The numbers are just bigger. Also, their expenses are much bigger. So when you go into your LCS, I think that probably 75% of the wax that is purchased probably is purchased through an LCS, whether that's an LCS online, like Dave and Adams or Blowout. Those are considered LCS.
If you're buying a whole box, people are going to be like, I break way more in brakes. That's what we're talking about.
Brakes are a different ballgame, but even then, this comes into play. If you're ripping actual wax, that person you bought it from someone else. Either they have a direct account with Fanatics or Panini or Upper Deck, or they're buying it from a third-party distributor, or they're buying it from another LCS through different platforms that exist for that. I'm not going to spread the names of those platforms. If you know what they are, cool. If you don't, you don't need to. You're not a dealer. If you did, you'd know. Those things exist. They buy those to resell them. Now, here was the comment that really got under my skin. The idea that if you are buying something at less than its full value, you are driving the market down. Wholesale transactions are not comps.
Now, let me spell this out for those of you that can't spell volatility. What that means is when you walk into your LCS, every single shop with a Fanatics Direct account, those boxes for $300, wait for it, cost the owner less than $300. But you are going to pay $300 to get the box. I don't want to overcomplicate
and
this.
You're not gonna look at that dealer and say, well, I know you paid $240 for this box when you bought the case, so I'm only going to pay you $240. That dealer's going to laugh at you and tell you to leave and not come back to their shop. This is how wholesale works. Now,
also at the LCS, when you walk in to sell your cards to them, I don't want to hear, I don't believe you if you're telling me your LCS is paying you 100%.
Yeah, you're lying.
They are lying. The only exception to that would be you are such a degenerate that you're going to spend $5,000 with them in the store on wax. So sure, I'm going to give you, you're just going to keep opening boxes. There's a possibility they would say,
I'll give you 100% trade value
on your hits.
Yeah,
yep.
Trade value.
Yep.
Against, our stickers here. So that's how wholesale works. That applies to singles as well.
Yeah.
If you walk into your LCS, I see people say all the time that LCSs are ripping people off. Here's something that's very important to understand about this specific business, the trading card and sports card and TCG world. Until COVID, maybe a tiny little window before COVID, but until COVID, the norm was for dealers to pay 50, maybe 60% of the full value of a card.
It's not an exaggeration.
No, that was the norm. Go look at an old Beckett magazine. Look at Beckett High and Beckett Low. It was usually half, and then dealers paid a little bit less than Beckett Low.
Go look at sneakers right now, coins right now, comics right now, collectibles. Every single one of these, the card market is demanding a higher purchase premium wholesale on singles or collectibles than any of those spaces are.
It's not remotely close. Now, is that necessarily in and of itself a terrible thing?
No.
However, understand that you're already getting a bigger premium than in any other space. So to act like somebody buying something to resell it to an end user kills comps is asinine. Also, know your audience when you say things with your whole chest. We are full-time dealers. This is what we do to pay our bills. The only differences between us and an LCS is where you buy from us at and what our expense base is. Those are the only two
one thing to be
differences.
really clear about too, because the ones that are actually saying this are playing dumb, is what it is. Because I know some of you that say this, and you walked up to my table, you ain't offering 100% on anything I have.
Yeah.
Not one time.
Yep.
And the other thing I want to say is some of you just don't know how to look up the value of your cards, and somebody's been telling you that they're paying you 90%. But I'm going to do some numbers here. So if you're smart, you don't need to listen. But if you're one of our special friends that's just commenting on a regular basis, listen close here. If somebody pulls up Card Ladder and they tell you I'm paying 90%, and you have a card that is sold for $100, $70, $100, and $100, Gary and I are going to tell you that card's worth about $100. 70's probably an outlier, maybe 95. Accurate? Yeah. The person that's paying you 90% that is profitable is either A, selling the card for 120%. What's their margin? Do the math on that real quick for me. Great for you. Or they're going off of that 70 and offering you 90% of that, and you just landed them a 63% margin on the card. But you're walking away happy because they use the words 90% with you. At the end of the day, the math does not check out. You want to talk about, let's play a scenario here.
Sure.
The scenario is
everyone
starts paying 100% of value.
Yep.
We could call it 95%. Okay. So just for perspective, if Gary and I have a show where we have done really well sourcing and we're at 30% gross margins, right? That means we got everything at 70% on average that's in the showcase. It's really hard to do that.
And we sold it at
100%. Yes. My point is we will at best net 25. At best.
Yes.
Likely 20%, but there's times at a 70% margin, I'm at 18 to 20% net. Like those of you saying 100% aren't offering 100% ever on the singles.
Right.
Now, the people I think are most affected by this are people who have been lied to in breaks and repacks on the value of cards. They got in it. The first day somebody said, oh my gosh, this card's worth $500. And they looked over at their spouse and said, I only spent $200 on this break. It's worth $500. I'm going to do another one. The next day, hey, this card's worth $900. I only spent $400 on it. This is great. And then 2 weeks later, all the cards show up and you are down on value. You are down big. Then you go into a show where somebody shows you how to actually look up the value that people have paid for cards, and you just can't believe that person that was just giving away money to you was maybe dishonest. It's got to be the dealer. It's got to be the software they're using. It's got to be this. The reality is a lot of you got upside down on this stuff and you don't know how to comp, so you're demanding 100% to make up for your losses. And if you're emotionally in that place, there is a place that will help you. No sarcasm here. Collectors MD is somebody we've talked about before. If you're that down where it is just overwhelming and there's pressure, there are other people dealing with the exact same thing that you are. And I think sometimes that 100% frustration is coming from a place of playing catch up rather than collecting.
Well, and let's play out the scenario.
Okay, I like
everybody pays 100%. So here's where this all falls apart.
Let's start with us. What happens to us if we start paying 100%?
So if I start paying 100%, I can no longer pay my bills.
Okay. How long would it take for you to cycle through that inventory?
Well, if everybody was paying 100%, I would cycle through the inventory, but then I would have to turn around and spend that money at 100% to replace it. I would be out of business in a few months.
Yeah. I think it would be quicker than that, and here's why.
Yeah.
When everyone has to pay 100% for cards, the people going and buying at shows, how long before shows are dead?
Oh, yeah, no.
Because why not?
Dealers won't be
because then
there.
It's just eBay, right?
Yeah.
And now you can't source anywhere. Like eBay's dead because you're netting 87% if you are as cheap as possible on eBay, unless you're into the really big cards.
Yeah.
So you're at 87 already and you paid it 100. You're losing 13%. I can't do that for very long.
Nope.
If shows were affected by this, the dealers that set up, the ones that are set up with new inventory every time you go there, that's Gary and I, buying every week, going through tens of thousands of dollars of inventory every week, cycling stuff through. Those dealers are not going to be at the show anymore.
No.
And your shows are going to be filled with people who have been ripping retail and hobby, and they want to get some of their money back. And there's nothing wrong with that. But now you've lost a huge portion of the market, and even more importantly, a huge portion of inventory that exists and circulates in the market. The market cap would change. What's the next thing that would be affected by this?
LCSs would no longer exist because the margins on wax aren't strong enough to pay the bills.
They used to be.
They used to be.
They used to be, but now that Fanatics does these things where you get an order, hey, I want 5 cases, we'll give you 2. Then you circle back a month or 2 later, hey, can I get 3 more of those cases like I was wanting? Yeah, no problem. It costs 30% more now, and the direct-to-consumer purchase per box is about the same.
Also, if you want those 3 more, we're going to need you to buy 5 cases of this stuff that's never going to sell, so that next year you're guaranteed at least 1 case.
Yeah.
So the wax margins, you might think on any individual box, a LCS is making a 30% margin. They might be, but when every other factor is brought into play, they might be making 10%.
We have an LCS in the Central Ohio area. Gorgeous, awesome, state-of-the-art, super popular. You're going to see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And we don't know for a fact the numbers. That's not our business. But I will be shocked if it isn't at the minimum $40K and at the top end $60 to $70K a month, just to keep the lights on, employees paid, Fanatics happy, and all that. So these people that are going to be paying you 100% for your cards when you walk into the shop that are in business.
How does that work?
How does that work?
There has to be, for a business to exist, there has to be a profit margin.
Gary, I want to go a little further. I'm not even done yet. I'm not even done yet because there's a piece of this market that we are missing entirely.
What's that?
It's the thing we love and the thing we loathe, but it's a necessary relationship as dealers.
Okay.
And that's the repack space.
Okay.
If everyone's paying at 100%, because this was part of it, repackers were paying at 120%, because if you don't understand the math on it, they can pay at 100% on everything as long as they can charge 130, 150, 170% on the repack breaks. There is a service, there is a value in creating a chase type of product, allowing for that volatility, putting in floors and ceilings, and it's fractional.
You mean they want to get paid for the work they did?
Yeah, but they gave me 100%. But here's what you don't realize, and this is true, and maybe it changes one day, but right now is not that time. They can't do this all on eBay. There are not enough of the right singles circulating on eBay for that to sustain the repackers. If this happened tomorrow, the dealers that are out looking for inventory quit going, scooping up cool cards and bringing them every week to a place where repackers can walk and drop $200K on singles, drop $100K, drop $3,000 at a table. Obviously, that's beneficial for us, so we wouldn't want that to go away. But if we weren't there, what happens to your repacks? And this is the ironic moment I realized.
I'm ready.
The reason we're in this whole mess is that this single value is propped up by the repack market in shows.
Oh.
When we started saying a downtown is a 95% purchase and everybody needs to do it, somebody thought, well, that must translate everywhere. But if the dealers can't get margin, there's not cards at the show. If there's not cards at the show, repacks would be out of it. You think they have inventory for months. Let me tell you with a fact.
Yeah.
They are weeks, sometimes days. They are scraping, whether they've got a hopping discord or not. Why do you think this consignment is such a fad right now?
Well, and we have repackers that buy from us on a regular basis. And no joke, they will buy a card from me at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. And if I'm scrolling through Fanatics Live or whatnot or TikTok later that night, I see that card
Sometimes,
in their repack that night.
If you remove the possibility for dealers to make any kind of margin, then they can't buy cards. If they can't buy cards, there is an inventory. If there isn't inventory, there isn't a repack market. If the repack market ceased to exist right now, everything you have at 100% just turned into 70, 60, or 50% of value because the money is not moving through the places where the cards are. Now let's talk about how that impacts the LCS. You don't have any money from selling your cards now.
Yeah.
So good luck. Now what happens to wax? Like, these things all impact each other. So when something so dumb is said, and it's not just this one idiot, there's plenty of you out there. There is a
lot of
there
dummies.
is a mindset, and I'm an idiot too, right? I've had takes. I've invested in Aquino with the Reds heavily. I understand taking losses and the sentiment of if everybody just starts lowballing, that's bad for the market. I agree with that. But a sensible margin that's higher than any other collectibles industry on a repurchase is not that crazy.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that I will say I understand from people who make these kind of statements, a lot of times it's people who set up at shows or who spend a lot on wax and are trying to get some of that money back, who get very frustrated. But I want to focus in on the people who set up at shows here. If you find yourself falling into this camp that you feel like you're constantly getting lowballed and why can't people just pay my sticker or whatever else, there's two things that I would tell you. One, I understand the frustration. Two, nobody's forcing you to sell any of your cards to anyone.
Yeah.
If you don't want to sell a card to somebody at 80%, tell them no. Here's the problem you have, though, okay? Most of the people that I find who make these complaints are people who only have cards that anybody's ever really willing to pay 80% for. You've got the same stuff as the next 5 tables walking down the line, and you want $100 for the card that last sold for $100, and the guy next to you is happy to take 85 for it, and the guy down from him might take 80 for it, and the guy down from him ripped a blaster himself, and he's in it for $35, and he's happy to take 60 for it. You can eliminate some of those frustrations if you change your inventory. You also may not be as liquid. You can't get everything in any business. But at the end of the day, if you are expecting somebody who is reselling the product to pay 100% for your cards, I don't know where your brain is at. Go start your own business.
I firmly believe that this same principle applies, just takes a little bit longer at 90% too. It's not sustainable. The math doesn't check out.
No, you don't have a business. We said this in an episode a year and a half ago.
There's one caveat. I'm going to say it because somebody's going to bring it up. If you are moving in like the 5-figure card space, 90% you can do. Chances are you have already built a business where you have a massive network of buyers. But that is a doable thing.
And I would even go so far as to say that in that specific situation, it doesn't even have to necessarily be the biggest cards. It can be the most liquid stuff, but you better already have it sold when you buy it. Remember back when I used to flip sneakers? I would have it sold at the Nike outlet before I ever checked out. Like it was checked off, sold.
There's
money
probably
on
a
its way
terms
to
of
me.
use violation there.
Maybe.
Somewhere.
I don't know. I don't do it anymore, so I don't care. But I moved a lot of money through GOAT.
let me point out another thing, too. And this is not a knock on people that move big cards and film that content. But I think the first thing I would tell you is being in a card business is not what you see on YouTube. That's some of it, but what you don't see is everything else. You don't see when we buy a collection, and it takes 3 hours to move the box just to get the things out of top loaders, right? Like, I don't think people realize that labor that's involved with it. But when you're watching these highlight videos of big cards selling, and if I was a content creator, would I show you the video of me buying this rare, valuable card at 65 to 75%? Or am I going to show you the one I really wanted and was willing to pay up to 90% for? The seller was pumped, dapping me up on the way out. Thank you so much. Guess which video's going up? These people are not only working on a 10% margin.
No,
they're not. They're not.
You can't.
They aren't. Listen to me. They are not running a business on 10% margins. It is not. Listen to me. It's not happening. It's not happening.
It's not only not happening, it's not possible.
It's math.
It's not possible. Math is math. Let's use a typical mid-level, like mid-sized card shop. Most shops are going to have, if they're in an area that makes sense to be in, what does that mean? The demographics of the area mean that there is enough disposable income in the area for things like trading cards to be bought. Let's say that they have rent for their space. It's probably going to be in the $5,000 a month range.
Conservatively.
Yeah. Let's just run the numbers with these. $5,000 in rent. I'm personally going to work there as the owner 6 days a week. We're open 6 days out of 7 days. I'm going to be there 6 days, but I can't do everything by myself. I've got one other full-time employee, and then I've got a part-time person that maybe handles my eBay listings, okay? And let's say that I want to be a boss that they actually like. I don't have to worry about them stealing from me because I'm not paying them enough. So let's say I'm paying them $20 an hour.
Right.
Okay,
not a big paying job.
One of them's full time. So my rent is $60,000 a year at this point. My full-time employee at $20 an hour at 45 hours a week is going to cost me about $50,000 a year plus payroll taxes and everything else. So we'll call that 65-ish. So now I'm to $125,000 a year, but on a monthly basis, I'm now to $12,000. My part-time employee is going to cost me another $25,000 a year. So another $2,000. So now I'm at $14,000. Maybe I want to pay myself equivalent to what I'm paying my employee. So now I'm at $21,000 to $22,000 a month in expenses. Let's add internet. Let's add heating and cooling,
security,
insurance. So let's call it $25,000 a month at a minimum.
And $5,000 would be a very reasonably
priced rent. So I'm at $25,000.
Anybody not living in Ohio is like, that's cheap.
Yeah, I'm at $25,000 a month before anything sells. Now, some of you, back to not understanding how business works, think, well, you sell $25,000 worth of cards. No. If I'm at a 10% margin, gross margin, I need to sell $300,000 worth of cards to break even.
On a monthly, on a yearly,
on a monthly basis. Now, that doesn't leave me anything left over to buy more inventory.
So you're saying, like, if I buy $25,000 worth of cards for $25,000,
yeah,
or $2,250,
yeah,
and then I sell them for $25,000, I didn't do jack squat.
No,
and now I have to lay three people off, including myself.
Shops need, in my opinion, at a minimum to be at a 30% gross margin. In a perfect world, they should be at about 40% gross margin. And even at that number, with the numbers we just laid out, $25,000 a month, they need to be selling $110,000 a month worth of inventory to break even.
No, let's talk about cash flow.
Sure.
On top of that, now we're focusing on the LCS right now, but about how much credit is rolling through wax purchasing monthly on a given. It's a range.
It depends. You're going to be.
Let's say it's a smaller one, but it's a direct account.
Let's say it's somebody in Fanatics prospect direct account status, which we're not going to get into. Look it up. The information's out there. They're probably being asked by Fanatics to spend somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000 a month on wax.
Mm-hmm.
And a big portion of that is stuff that nobody wants.
But they can't IOU it. You can't send in some slabs as collateral.
If you're in the prospect program, depending on what your own personal credit is like, you might get 30 days. Once you graduate out of the prospect program to where you're expected to be spending more like $150,000 to $250,000 a month in wax, they'll give you 90 days.
But in principle, they should be selling that for exactly what they paid for it. So then you don't make money there either.
Yeah.
You know. I think we've worn this out a little bit.
Yeah.
But the point is, there's an ecosystem in any space. Wholesaling must exist. If you wash out any kind of margin, you no longer have a labor force to manage any of this. And a market will crash if there is nobody working the industry. Technology is not at the point yet. And these buybacks are creating different ways for it. Warehousing, PSA direct purchases, all that kind of stuff. Maybe repacking continues to take off, and there's an online platform where everybody just submits it that way. Maybe that continues to happen. But I have a hunch that if margins disappeared, within a year the market would be devastated.
Oh, for sure. And again, one of the easiest ways to sum all of this up, like we info dumped a little bit, but hopefully it gives a better understanding of what dealers deal with. Our expenses aren't anywhere near as high as an LCS's, but we're going to a 2-day show in another state this coming week, and our expense base at our margins, the first $3,000 to $4,000 that we sell, we break even, right? So we got to be above that. But this is very simple, and Jason's heard me say this to customers who are trying to sell a whole collection or whatever else, and this applies to all of you. There does not exist a world where I do all the work and you make all the money.
So back to WORK to finish up. If it really bothers you that much that people aren't giving you 100%,
Do the work.
do the work.
And then you
Get
can,
a
You
table.
can demand it.
I wonder how long it would take just to price out your inventory. I know you don't want to. I know you just want to wait for somebody to say, how much for that? Then you pull out a phone, only get about 50% of the sales because you weren't prepared. But, it's an option. You can give it a try. I think the reason this taps a nerve with us is because of the disbelief of the amount of work and the margins it takes to do what we're doing. And we are not wealthy. I would love an employee.
Yeah.
I would love somebody with
it
eBay
would
shipping.
certainly make eBay a lot
I
easier.
would love to ramp this up. We can't afford that. But you know what we are? Honest. We're honest. If there's one thing that we've been from day one, we have never lied. We have been overcritical of some people and had to backtrack. We have been wrong about things, but we've never been dishonest. And we're telling you the truth. You cannot have this hobby be anything like it resembles today if margins do not exist for someone. There needs to be wholesale somewhere. Somebody has to make money, or it doesn't make sense for it to exist.
And if the business, I use social media as an example. If you're not paying for something, you're the product. So if a business is
Facebook.
paying you 90 to 95%, like a repacker, understand. And again, we are not anti-repacker. We're anti-dishonest repacker, but we are not anti-repacker.
Yeah, no, it's a huge part of our business.
But if a buyer is paying you 95 to 110%, you are the product.
Yeah.
You're the product.
This person brings me inventory.
Yes, you're the product because they know you're going to pay 130% of what they paid to get back into their brakes. You're the product.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was well surmised.
Yep. We got one last thing. I know we just ran it for a little while. We're going to take a deep breath.
Good news. I'm in a bad mood still.
Say, I'm going to just turn and give all my attention.
It's not a long rant.
To my good friend Jason and his current frustrations with the platform we all know and love.
I mean, all right, we've been over this, guys. If you haven't seen, early in this year, I think it was January, I did a video, eBay Standard Envelope sucks. Just basically explaining why eBay Standard Envelope sucks. I have
Deep dive.
I have been actively a part of a high volume, low end store that I've been running over a year now, close to 17,000 orders in that year. I'm not saying I'm the eBay expert. I'm saying when people would say a high volume, low end store, they would look at that number of sales and be like, oh, that person's doing that as a business. Okay?
Correct.
So that's my perspective. I also want to say this. I've had 4 negative reviews in almost 17,000 orders, 3 negative reviews. And I've had 4 neutral feedback. 99.9%. When
You're a power seller too, right?
I can't remember what they call it.
Okay.
I don't do the return thing because there's a scam against that with the high volume low and stuff. So probably not. But I am across the board. Metrics are great. This last month, I just ran my report because I told you guys it slowed down kind of out of nowhere. And I do think in general, something we can maybe touch on next week is out of the summer into the fall, especially if you have a rough rookie class, it seems like there's a bit of a softening in the market. Don't overreact to that. I'm not. We're still setting up at all of our shows. We're still buying and selling cards. But the market responds to what's happening, and it seems to be a little bit softer. So that's an impact. But I had 2 returns opened against me this last month. One of them was a card that USPS just demolished. It was a patch card. It looked like the envelope had been folded in half because the creases around the patch were all running the exact same direction. It was smashed or folded or whatever. Shipped at eBay Standard Envelope. That is something we're allowed to do. It is supposed to be insured. However, if somebody just opens a return and doesn't do the claim as like didn't arrive or arrived damaged or whatever,
Sure.
it's a return. I had another one that was pretty clearly a scam. The card I scanned was in good shape. The card that was received had massive wrinkles all over it, and the direction of the wrinkles would not have made sense with how it was shipped. In both of those cases, we're talking about a total of $7, including tax and purchases.
Which you refunded immediately, correct?
Immediately messaged me, and I refunded them. However, both of them had opened up returns before I even had an opportunity to respond. They're probably used to bad service on eBay. They were frustrated. I have been there. I get it. But here's where it gets really frustrating. I've had 2 returns out of the last 2,984 orders.
That's a very small that's a 0.001%.
According to eBay right now, if you're logged into my dashboard under seller metrics, I am in a category of high returns amongst peers, which means, according to eBay, 2 returns out of 2,984 being open, even though they were immediately resolved, immediately refunded, no negative feedback was left on them, anything. They were happy. They just wanted it taken care of, right? Even the one that was scamming me, I'm pretty sure of that. I've seen it a few times. I've learned you just take care of them, apologize, and move on. My sales were down 31.6% this month.
Throttled.
Nothing else changed. All of the other metrics are great. Everything else is still as it was. I don't have a high item not received rate. I have worked that down. It is in healthy spot. I'm continuing to list items on a regular basis, if not daily. eBay, this costs you more money. It costs both of us more money to so harshly throttle a store. Now, here's what you'll hear. We don't do that. That doesn't happen. It's like whenever we used to work in a sales job.
Yeah,
where
gaslighted.
Humans got to dispatch you to your calls. And when you have sales guys in the service industry, they're calling and complaining, oh, I've been having such a rich day, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, blah, blah, blah. So people can give them a call that looks a little better maybe. Or this is the same thing. We're being gaslit by eBay. Oh, no, it doesn't affect your metrics. 31% down, 2 returns, 3,000 orders. Why is everybody taking their eBay inventory and moving to whatnot? This is why. What's the conversation I'm actively having right now with you?
Trying to decide whether it makes sense to just once or twice a week, instead of shipping on eBay and listing and everything, going and hopping on whatnot and running low end stuff.
And just start peeling that off, moving my shipping out to like once every 4 or 5 days. Because what I've learned is the way through this, if I want to fix it quickly, is I need to clear my schedule and I need to be running about 5,000 or 6,000 cards into my inventory every single day. Hit a few hundred cards rolling in, brand new stuff. It's got to be more liquid players, this and that. I need to shorten my shipping time frame. I need to follow up and ask for feedback. Work for eBay, all this just to get back to what's normal in a low-end store.
Yeah.
So I think if they don't fix this, you're going to have more and more people like me that just decide, one, it's more financially beneficial not to put this effort in because it's a lot of work.
It's just not worth it.
It's not worth the time. And 2, it's less money for you. I understand at some point if there's bad customer service that needs to be addressed, but there's got to be some type of thing in place of, hey, when this happens, this is probably the biggest question eBay's not asking. How did they handle the complaint? Is good service based off of incidents never happening?
Well, the problem...
Hold on now. Is good customer service based off of incidents never happening, or is it based off of how people respond to incidents when they do happen?
Here's the issue. That requires a human to look at it and make a decision.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want to pay humans to do that. It's much cheaper to have a computer and AI do that.
Yeah. So once again, I mean, I think this is like the second or third thing like this year. And at some point when you're scaling out the business, you're like, I have 50,000 cards on there. They're just going to randomly cut. 30%. That's
it's a chunk.
That's a chunk of change.
If your margins are running at 30%.
And you run tight margins.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, low and liquid. This is just me venting to the rest of you that do the same things. I know you deal with the same stuff at times too. Just another thing that doesn't make sense on eBay for people selling high volume, low end. And maybe what's going to happen is, the AI software comes out, the scanners come out, everybody loves it, they go nuts. Market probably gets a little flooded. Maybe there's too much of this stuff on there, not as much interest. Maybe the market's slowing down. But what I can tell you is this. Here's where my metrics were, and they were in the same ballpark every month leading up to September. I have 2 returns happen. Both of them immediately addressed. Even the dialogue, they're like, yes, it must have been USPS. I'm sorry for you too. I said, well, the right thing to do here is to take care of you. It's been handled the right way. They're happy customers. They've been taken care of, and I am losing 30% off of $7 out of almost 3,000 orders.
Craziness. And if this felt like an episode where we were bitching and moaning, guess what? It was.
Yeah, well, you need that every now and then.
Hopefully, those of you who needed to hear some of that to understand, come away with a little bit better understanding of what it's like to actually try to do this as a business and why you are getting the offers you're getting for your cards. For those of you who are loyal listeners of the podcast and viewers of the podcast who sit on the same side of the table that we do, hopefully you got some validation for some of the frustration that you feel from these same things too. If you've enjoyed the podcast this week or anytime you've watched it and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that little bell button. If you're listening to us on audio, throw us in your RSS feed. Make sure every Thursday night you join us on Whatnot at 6 p.m. We run cool stuff and we don't yell at you, and it's fun for about 3 hours. May have some more fun stuff coming in that direction soon. This has been yet another episode of the Ball
Can I
Card
give
Show.
homework?
Yeah, you can give homework.
2 things real quick. In context of our big conversation, 1, if you've been buying and you hear this and you're like, that's the frustration. I just am not getting the margin. I'm doing everything else right. This week, knock it down 5%. Whatever it is. If you're 90, go to 85. If you're 85, go to 80. 60% to 70%, you're dabbling there in a world that you're probably not going to be very successful with. But push yourself to try and just see what happens. The loudest people are not the majority in this situation usually. Most people understand how basic business works. Secondly, if you're somebody that's still here and you're frustrated with us, which would be a surprise to me, I would really encourage you, when you're getting those 90 to 95% offers, actually look up the card and look at all of the recent comps. Look at 5, 3, whatever's available, and ask yourself, am I getting 90% of this card's value, or am I getting 90% of the lowest possible comp somebody can find? And I'm going to guess that you're going to be a little bit frustrated and disappointed most of the time. Although there are people out there, when you got the right stuff, it doesn't matter. They're paying up for it. This has been the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
Bye now.
Peace.